We are back this week after a wild week 5. We saw Matt Rule get thrown out the fucking door.
Axed.
Cut. We saw some injuries. Tua is still in concussion protocol. Kenneth Walker's going to step in moving forward for Rashad Penny, who breaks his leg. But wild week 5, moving on to week 6. We're starting to get a feel for where the season's going to go. We are live right now with an unbelievable spread at Brickyard in downtown Chandler. We got hanger steak. We got pork belly. For those of you who don't know what pork belly is, it's a fancy word for thick bacon. It's my favorite fucking thing in the world. We got a cold fashion. We got a tropic like it's hot. Mango chili tiki drink. Let's do this thing, huh? How you doing?
Cheers.
Drew?
I'm doing great. I mean,
Cheers, brother.
The presentation's pretty phenomenal. So
Phenomenal.
I'm fired up about this drink.
The big news, Matt Rule. What's your thoughts? Do you ever have an experience like this?
I did, actually. And Baker's had an experience like this. Our first year in Cleveland together, right? You go through a head coach that probably should have been fired in the offseason, if we're going to be honest, right? I stepped into a situation in Cleveland. Hugh Jackson's 1-31 at the time. You're sitting there, and you can just see.
It's a good record. It's a good record.
Well, you know, and same thing with Matt Rule. It's hard when you're trying to steer this ship, but you already feel like it's sinking, right? It's already going downhill before this even starts because you're already on a hot seat, right?
Yeah.
And I had never met Hugh Jackson before, but you could even see as soon as adversity started to creep in, as soon as that doubt started to creep in, he just lost all confidence. And he starts to lose the team, and guys question this, and they sit up there and you hear this guy just talk ad nauseum, and like, nothing is going to fix this. It's too far gone at that point, and that's when the owner pulls the plug. Now, we were fortunate. We were one of the few teams that you can kind of look back to and say, Greg Williams did an amazing job of stepping in as an interim head coach with a large portion of the season left to go, and did a great job. Baker went on to set rookie records for most touchdown passes in a season. We were having fun. We got back to being a unit and as a team that just rallied around, okay, let's just go out and play football. There's so much season left for the Carolina Panthers to take success away, right? And yes, this is a team sport, but guys are playing for contracts. Coaches are playing for politicking for head coaching jobs or to elevate themselves, right? This is still your resume. You still have to go out and put your best foot forward because there's over 10 weeks left of this season that you're going to be judged upon, and they don't care if your head coach is there or not. Each guy will be judged individually moving forward for this organization, and all eyes are on them to be able to go out there and have success.
No, that's a great point. I mean, I think I saw Jay Glazer put it out that teams are already starting to look at them as a early free agent, right? They're going to start seeing who's willing to be put on the trade block. And so these next couple weeks are huge for not only the coaches in that organization that are hoping to possibly make a good impression on David Tepper moving forward, deciding to see where he goes, and also those players need to play well because if not, either you're gone next year and you lost an opportunity, or you're shipped out and you could be shipped to who knows where. And anytime you're traded, it's a shitty feeling. I've been traded before. Even though it was a good situation for me, it's still, you got to pick up your whole family. You're moving to a new place. It's a whole different world. So good luck to those Carolina Panthers the next couple of weeks.
Well, and here's the thing, right, is you're starting to see this separation. There's no such thing as moral victories in the NFL. It's wins, losses, or get out, right? And that's what we're starting to see. This is becoming a trend in the NFL where you're seeing turnover at head coach much faster than you would think, right? He had not had a ton of time there, but the level of expectation is to say, okay, just step in there right away and turn around. He's not going to be the last head coach fired by the end of the season.
No, and the interesting thing is it is such a shitty job for Steve Wilkes right now. That's what people don't realize. Like, I was never part of a situation like you were where a head coach got fired, but I was part of a Steve Wilkes coach team where they fired Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator. The offense was doing shitty. Now, fortunately for me, I tore my ACL. Not fortunately, but fortunately I didn't have to go through that shit show where I tore my ACL that year, and I really, you know, when you're on IR, you're not really a part of it, right? So, like, I didn't have to really deal with it, but I watched the offense struggle, and about week 8, they fire Mike McCoy, and now Byron left, which moves in. Now, obviously, Byron has risen to stardom since that point, but when you get thrown into a situation, whether it's a head coach, whether it's a coordinator, whether it's a different position coach, mid-season, when it's already been put into place, what that organization is doing, if it's a head coach, offensively, Mike McCoy's offense was already in place. You can't fucking switch a whole offense in week 8 of the season. You know what I mean? And same thing with as a head coach. Like, the principles are in place, the schedule's in place. You can't come in and just start changing everything around. The players are going to be like, what are we doing, right? So it's going to be an interesting situation for Steve Wilks. He's obviously in a tough situation. His first one didn't go so well, 3-13. We'll see if hopefully he can salvage this ship a little bit and at least make a good impression moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that margin of error is so small, which moves on to the next subject of you're seeing kickers either make field goals to help win these early games, or you're seeing kickers miss field goals that are costing valuable wins in that column right now, because they're going to add up at the end. Some of these teams that we predicted to do well that are struggling, it's only a missed field goal here, or you have a guy like Justin Tucker waiting in your hip pocket that can go in there Sunday night and be, I mean, it doesn't even deviate from going right down the middle with him. It has got to be the best feeling in the world, and you saw what Lamar Jackson said afterwards. I was praying, but I also knew that it didn't matter because who we had at kicker.
100%. And his celebrations are
Oh,
so cocky, but he can do that.
Yeah.
It's so cool. The minute he makes a kick and does
like the showman, the
I'm
greatest
here.
showman.
I'm
yes.
here, you know, and it's awesome.
And he probably was a little bit of like, okay, Evan McPherson had so much hype all throughout last year. He carried that Bengals team because when it was nut gutting time, he was making those game-winning field goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how a kicker is truly measured. Can they make it when the game is on the line? Not, hey, can I tie this up? Can I go win it and be able to put it through the uprights for you? So a little bit of that bow that he took at the end of that game was probably, hey, Evan McPherson, I'm still here and I'm still the guy.
I'm still the best maybe ever, and that's an interesting conversation. But you're right. I mean, having kickers, we saw it go both ways this week, right? We saw Baltimore have unbelievable success with that, right? Cleveland, not so much success. Arizona, not so much success. So these kicking situations are really, really important to wins and losses at this point in the game, and having a weapon at kicker is huge. Talking further on Cleveland, he makes a huge game winner week 1 of the season, right? It was like a 58 or 59 yarder. And so now that's the expectations.
Yeah.
So when he misses anything, it's like, oh man, maybe this guy isn't as good. But the problem is, it's almost harder on that kicker moving forward, right? Because now all the expectation, all the weight on him is, hey, listen, he's good from 58, 59, and he should be. So that's an interesting situation with Cleveland moving forward. He's missed a couple kicks recently after having the huge week 1. But getting back to having McPherson, having Tucker, it's a game changer.
It's an added dimension.
It's an added dimension, man.
Well, and I think too, right? These end of game scenarios where you're seeing some teams are going out and winning football games, other teams are losing football games because of these situations, because of situational football and not the understanding. Something that needs to be visited at the end of games or even throughout the course of games, and Chris Jones touched on it, they need to start reviewing roughing the passer, right? Much like targeting in college. Be able to go on. I mean, stuff happens so fast. And sometimes it's the vantage point, sometimes it's the angle. It's all of these different things. And this is coming from a quarterback's perspective,
Yeah.
much like Patrick Mahomes talked about, right? It is really hard on this. But where is that fine line? We saw Tom Brady, but again, to make that call on the fly to aggressively throw somebody down and sling them. I mean, what is Grady Jarrett supposed to do there? Chris Jones, same thing. Sack, fumble, changes the outside of the game. We've seen it throughout the first 5 weeks of this season where this becomes an issue. And we already talked about how New York has control, the eye in the sky anyways. Why not buzz in and get this thing right? There's too much at stake right now for these teams to sit there, and it's a flip of a coin whether or not these officials are going to call it. Take it out of their hands. Help them out. Make this an easier standpoint for them to say, okay, you know what? Let's review this. Okay, let's be in their ear. They already have all of the technology. They have the ability to do it. Let's not sit here and pretend like this isn't going to be a detriment moving forward, because look, the lifeblood of this league is the fans. And the fans are getting upset. The players are getting upset. We need to be able to make this change and identify it for what it is.
Too much gray. There's no consistency. That is all anybody is looking for. Whether it's a fan, whether it's a player, whether it's a coach. All they want is consistency. And so here we are, and we've watched it week in and week out now throughout this season, where nobody knows what the fuck a roughing the passer call is. Nobody has any clue what it is. Some refs are calling it, some refs aren't, some refs are making egregious calls. And so now here we are, and you're in the point where you think reviews should be. First of all, let's hit on that. New York was able to buzz in whenever a ref got touched. So are they only able to buzz in when it directly affects their people, not the players, right? So what makes New York have that ability to buzz in? First thing, Second thing, when did we stop allowing defensive players to tackle people? Like, I don't care if you're a quarterback. I don't care who you are. That was as clean of a tackle as you could possibly. It wasn't like, remember the old days where this rule came into play was you'd have linebackers come in, they'd make the hit, and instead of just finishing the tackle, they would do that lift and everything on top. You can clearly see that as a ref if he is doing that. So I think, I forget who said it. There was one quarterback that said it, where common sense has to play.
Yeah,
was it Mahomes, right?
Yeah, Mahomes said that.
And I completely agree with it. You sit there and you watch the play, and if it's just a clean tackle, we keep it moving. If a guy breaks a rib, he breaks a rib. That's part of the game. We signed up for this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And saying that, right, those wins, those losses, the end of games, all this stuff, we're starting to see the teams that are able to handle that are starting to rise to the top, right? Much like we thought the Kansas Cities of the world, the Buffaloes of the world, some teams took a little bit longer to figure it out, like Tennessee. I mean,
But you knew they would.
Yeah, they're kind of under the radar, but they're 3-2 now.
Well-coached, talented team. You knew they would find their way.
Yeah, and they've done a nice job, right? Much like Tampa Bay, where they're a sneaky kind of leading that division, leading the charge. Same thing with San Francisco. You'd see them week 1 and you're like, this team's abysmal. Like, they were on the road.
Quarterback.
For sure.
Ron Rivera. Quarterback.
Yes.
We'll
What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly.
The quarterback. Helps to have Jimmy G waiting in the wings. So you're seeing these teams that are kind of differentiating themselves and saying, okay, and it's a little bit early, right? Like, we'll have a better feel come December of where everybody's at, because health is going to play a big key in this, right? Can teams continually run the football and stay balanced? Are they playing great on defense and getting turnovers? All of these things, it is a week-to-week business that we are in. But the good organizations, the good culture that exists, they can stand there and stand firm and not worry about the ebbs and flows, because they can weather the storms when your quarterback goes out and you can rely on a backup. When you lose a key marquee player that's going to be able to, make a difference in the game, or you're waiting for somebody to come back and give you a shot in the arm like the Arizona Cardinals are seeming to be doing with DeAndre Hopkins. When he gets back, it's going to open the doors, because you're seeing the emergence of some of these other guys, like Rondale Moore finally getting healthy. Or you're also seeing Hollywood Brown step up and become a true number 1 wide receiver. So it's an exciting time of the season, because these identities are formed, and they're going to continue down that road and push forward.
Identities are being formed, and teams are still trying to find their identity.
The bad ones.
But here's where we are. The cream is starting to rise. We talked about that last week a little bit, but now, you're 5 weeks in. Now you're starting to get to week 6, week 7, week 8. You're at the halfway point, right? You're starting to see where this thing's going. The ultimate key is staying healthy. That is the ultimate key. Any of these teams lose their quarterback, season's down the drain. Like, you can't weather a storm. You see with Cleveland, like, all they're trying to do is weather a storm right now. That's it. Same thing with New England, right? 17 to 21, 170. That's 10 yards a pass. Like, we're not pushing the ball down the field at all. We are not at all. We're trying to run it. We're trying to manage the game, play good defense, walk away with a win, hopefully. That's where a lot of these teams are. That's what Arizona's trying to do. Kyler has not played very well thus far. They're trying to weather the storm. But if they get to 2-4, by the time, is it too late? Is it too late? Can DeAndre send you on a 9-game win streak and get you in? Who knows? We'll see. But
it's going to be a tough division, right? But you're also seeing the Rams, the Super Bowl champions, trying to figure out who they are right now.
And they'll find their way, just because they're well coached and they got talent. Offensive line's in fucking shambles right now.
4 centers that they've dealt with already this year for Matthew.
Which he should be coming back soon, I think. I think Brian Allen should be coming back at some point.
State guy. Of course he is. He'll be back as soon as possible.
Big Ten guys. You can always rely on them. See what we did there? All right, so contenders. Who do you got? Who do you got so far?
I loved Kansas City from the onset. I will continue to ride Kansas City through, because I think they are truly better without Tyreek Hill. You're looking at what they can do. They're down 17 points. They don't even blink, because of the leadership they have, because of who's at helm for them. And I think defensively, Justin Reed is so underrated at what he brings to the table. Yes, they lose Tyrann Mathieu. That team, to me, with Patrick Mahomes saying, hold on, guys. Josh Allen, great. He's really good. Lamar Jackson, dynamic player that's trying to be able to do this, get a new contract, be the highest paid ever. Patrick Mahomes just sits back and says, all right, you guys do that. I think they are the team in the AFC right now that I'm putting my money on. It's going to be a great matchup this week.
Is he playing his best? We've talked about Mahomes being an absolute superstar. If not the best, one of the best 3.
If I'm starting a team, I'm taking him right now. I don't.
But
care.
is he playing his best season thus far, so far?
I think he is. I mean, you look
Yeah.
at it, right? Security blanket, Travis Kelce, and then everything goes from there, right?
Yeah.
Being able to do what they do, he is so good. If I'm starting a team, I am taking him. And no disrespect to anybody else out there. There's a lot of great quarterbacks that can do a lot of different things. His ability to stay within the framework of an offense, operate within that, and then also deviate from that is unique. There's nobody in the league that can sit there and throw timing passing game like that and then make off-schedule plays, extend plays, do all this stuff, understand what a defense is trying to do to him, and then be able to put players in a position to be successful.
So that's your top pick from the AFC right now.
Absolutely love them. I mean, Josh Allen's good, but
We're about to find out this week.
Yeah.
We are about to find out this week. And obviously this game is an early game. It may very well be a replay of what we see in the AFC Championship. We're very well aware of that. But we should, on paper, see fireworks this week. And probably, in everybody's opinion, the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL at this point. At least young, right? Like, I mean, you know, obviously you guys.
Period.
You
At
can
this
always
point,
throw Aaron
period.
and Tom in that conversation. We get
right
that.
now, the 2 best playing at the highest level.
Yep,
Right now.
okay.
There's no question. Jalen Hurts is an argument.
Which
for
is
that.
what we saw, right? So the AFC seeing the contenders we saw. It's going to be exactly who everybody thought in the beginning of the year. It's going to be Kansas City. It's going to be Buffalo. It's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be one of them 3.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
And Tennessee's kind of just good enough to beat you.
And if they have the right game plan, come January, they can beat you. That's exactly where we're at. NFC, a little different story. We got a lot of teams.
Yeah.
We saw Philly get its first adversity, its first test this week, and almost screwed it up. But when they needed a drive, they relied on their identity. What's their identity? Run the football
Boom, boom,
with
boom, boom.
that group.
Yeah.
Take 9 minutes off the clock. Keep Kyler in that tempo off the field. They're the cream of the crop in the NFC right now. They obviously got another tough one this week against the Dallas Cowboys, but they're probably the cream right now. You still have the Minnesota Vikings, who, again, I think like early season had them 9.5 wins. They're going to fucking win more than that. That team's good.
Yeah.
I was very weary about that group, but Justin Jefferson's ridiculous. The run game's awesome. They got a great group on defense.
And
They're
their
a very
division's
good team.
not as good as everybody. I mean, the Lions are who they are at this
Yep.
point, right? The Bears might not throw for over 200 yards in a single game,
Right.
Because they can't pass the ball. And Green Bay is, again, trying to figure this all out. They will.
Which they will.
They'll get it figured out. They'll be in the
100%.
playoffs. They'll be good.
Yep.
But that's not the Green Bay of dominance. You take Devontae Adams off of that team where you have a premier number 1 wide receiver that Aaron's going to look at, be on the same page with, signal to, do all these things. They don't have that
So
right now.
Lazard and Cobb right now because he trusts them. That's
Yeah.
who he's going with, and those guys are not
Yeah.
true number 1,
No,
right?
no.
And so
Yeah, they're not on Devontae Adams level, which
not many people are.
no.
And in fact, nobody is.
Yeah.
But so you got them, you got Tampa Bay, teams that are dangerous, teams that you do not want to see come January and February, as long as these teams can stay healthy.
San
right?
Francisco is the one that always scares you.
Always. Their run game, they can
Their
control
defense
it,
is
and
number
their
1 in
defense is ridiculous.
every statistical category. They get after the quarterback. They do so many things
Secondary,
well.
my guy Hufanga, what's his name? Hufanga,
Yeah.
is that his name?
Yes.
He's Troy Polamalu in the making. Troy's been mentoring him. Hold that thought, maybe?
Really good
But he's
player.
a really good player.
But when you talk about a Hall of Fame guy that does
I know.
I mean, there are stories. Carson used to tell stories that
Or
he
folklores.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, right? Like, you hear the stories about him everywhere he was. He just operated at a different pace, a different level. He saw the game differently. There's 2 to 3 players ever to play that position. Now, this guy's really good. He's playing at a high level. He's jumping screens. He's doing
Troy
all-
and Ed Reed. I mean, they're the 2 tops, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we hope that Hufanga can get there because, man, he's exciting to watch.
He's great to watch,
Yeah.
right? And he has the free reign to do that. D'Amico Ryans has those guys playing at such a high level. They're a fun team to watch.
Yep.
And Jimmy's just comfortable being Jimmy.
Yeah. But the NFC's a little bit more up in the air. We got, obviously, the 2 creams at the top with Philly and Minnesota. But that whole NFC East, is the Giants for real? Who knows? We'll see. But the NFC, Dallas, I mean, heck, who knows? I mean, Cooper's done a fantastic job
Really
keeping
good
them
job.
afloat until
Yeah.
Dak comes back.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe they were a better team with Cooper. We'll find out.
Made
What's
himself
that?
a lot of money, though. At the
He
end of the
should.
day, like, you love to see guys like that. You cheer for guys like that because he has established himself. He can ride this out for as long as possible. When
As
it
a
comes to
backup for
contract time,
15 years.
forever, right? Like,
Yeah.
you've got to be able to answer the bell. When you can start your career like he's done,
Yeah.
kudos to him, man. I'm happy to see guys like that have success.
Cooper. Rush. Leads us into the backup plan. All right, Bailey Zappi, huh? Is that how you say his name? Zappi? I don't even know how you say his name. Is it Zappi?
That's how it's spelled.
We'll call him Zappi.
Phonetically that way as well. So,
but he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. I mean, he hung with arguably the best quarterback of this generation, one of them, right? Aaron Rodgers, and took his team into overtime with that one, and then comes off that and has a masterful performance, doing exactly what Bill wanted to do.
Exactly.
Right? Gives you 17 completions out of 21, 170-something yards, good ground game, good defense.
Great
ground
game. Great ground game.
Great ground game. And they walk away with a shutout.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Bill Belichick wanted to do. But is this guy, first of all, does he supplant Brian Hoyer, your guy, Michigan State guy, as the now backup?
Yeah, he should. I mean, look, I've been in Brian's role before, right? You're there to impart your wisdom on the starter. You're there to help bring a young guy along to take your job. That just comes with the territory.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. When you're at peace with that, when you're giving your knowledge, that's what you're getting paid for. When you're doing that, and again, a head injury is nothing you want to take lightly. You want to be able to do that. But when you're giving that knowledge away, you know that you're just setting somebody else up, which is, again, when you're at peace with that, that's awesome. I was at peace with that. That's why I was brought to Cleveland solely for that role, is to say, hey, this is a young guy. You need to speed that learning curve up for him, help make him as good as he can be. And again, Bailey Zappi, drafted mid-round, really good quarterback, had a ton of success. I think he threw for more yards than anybody in college football. Tremendous job of just being efficient, right? 17 to 21, as you talked about. This starts and stops with their run game. They lose one running back, but they've got multiple running backs that can be able to sustain what they want to do in New England. They're at home. They're playing defense at an extremely high level, complementary football. And when you're a quarterback and you know that, right, when you have the whole week to prepare, find completions. Don't turn the ball over, right? Give us a chance to be able to be who we are, and then we'll go win it. And they did that, right? They got a lead, and they stretched it out, 29-0, right?
Yeah.
And Detroit has now hit rock bottom.
This gives me a chance, before we move on to the next, to highlight the offensive line in New England, right? They've done a phenomenal job. Trent Brown is playing at an elite level. Bounced around a couple times, some weight issues, playing at an elite level right now. Cole Strange, Sean McVay on draft night says, man, wait, they drafted him in the first? I was hoping to get him in the third. This guy's playing at an elite level. David Andrews, so from center over, elite level. Right tackle, pretty good. He's having some issues, still trying to refine his way after a monster rookie year, after the Achilles, but that group up front is doing a phenomenal job. Switched schemes a couple times. They've gone zone, they've gone gap, they've done it all. Who knows? I don't know. Matt Patricia might be calling plays. Joe Judge might be calling. Who knows who's calling plays? But they've done a great job kind of just weathering the storm. Mac Jones has to step up when he comes back because, man, Bailey Zappi's doing a great job leading this. All right, let's move on to the next one. So we got Marcus Williams, $70 million contract, dislocated wrist. Geno Stone comes in. Kyle Hamilton, first rounder in the wings.
Hold on, time out.
Okay.
Let's give a shout out to Geno Stone. Where's he from?
He's from Pittsburgh, greatest city on earth. Most Hall of Famers maybe in the history of NFL history. Just going to throw it out there.
Moon Township, how many Hall of Famers?
0.
Okay.
And it's going to stay 0 once my time is eligible. But yeah, so he's a good Pittsburgh guy playing for the rival Baltimore Ravens, doing a great job down there. But
gotta get a paycheck.
And Kyle Hamilton, first rounder. They probably expected more from him, but he's obviously not getting the first shot. They don't feel like he's there yet, obviously, but it may even be kind of by committee with those two. We'll see, but tough shoes
Maybe
to
Kyle
fill.
Hamilton just spoon feed him a little bit,
That's
right?
it.
Just
Just
bring him along nice and easy.
Just give him a
Those
little.
Notre Dame guys were soft anyways, though.
Easy, bud. Hainsey, you're doing a great job.
Hainsey's an anomaly, all right? There's always
It's the O-line. They're different.
Yeah, different
out of
breed.
Notre Dame. But yeah, so by committee, who knows? But tough shoes to fill. I mean, $70 million contract for safety's tough shoes to fill.
Not only the contract, right? You're looking at the production on the field that he
picks,
had. Yeah,
right?
3 picks already this year, forced fumble, a lot of tackles. They have switched this scheme up big time, right? You go from a Wink Martindale defense where it's pressure and safeties everywhere and doing this and that. They're playing more zone. They're keeping everything in front. They're doing a really nice job. But when you are playing safety in that scheme, you've got to be able to relay the calls to the corners. You've got to be able to see everything. You've got to adjust, adapt, and then go out and play. He did a tremendous job of that. These are going to be really interesting times to see, can they overcome that when you take a guy out that's playing at that high of a level, and whether it's Geno Stone or they say, okay, we're going to try and mix it up and keep Kyle Hamilton in there. We have a whole week to prepare. Is it much like, okay, we're just going to give him a small sample size so when he goes out there, he's not overthinking, he's not overprocessing. Go out and be the athlete that we draft you to be in the middle of the first round.
I agree. I mean, I think they're tough shoes to fill, but I think in any scheme, that Baltimore defense has enough pieces around where they'll probably find a way to kind of protect those guys. They may have to switch to doing some more cover 2 stuff just to kind of help those guys. Whatever it is, they may have to dial back and rely on the front four, which they have a really good front four. They had Jason Pierre-Paul gets a couple sacks this past week. Makes a couple plays, a couple batted balls. I mean, he'll probably, once he gets into shape, give him another week or two, he'll be back in rare form, right in time for them to play his whole team, the Tampa Bay Bucks, on Thursday night, coming up here soon. But
schedule advance preview. I like it.
How about that? Rashad Penny. Tough to watch. Man, what a year he's been having.
Even the end of last year, right? I think the last 4 games of the season, he led the league in rushing. He's starting to find himself rocky grounds to start his career, out of shape, trying to find his way, sending messages, doing all this, waiting for time. Finally got a chance, was playing extremely well, right? Was doing everything, the identity of who they want to be in Seattle, that culture. Again, we've talked about culture, what difference that makes depending on Pete Carroll and what he brings to the table. Rashad Penny had bought in fully and was playing at an extremely high level.
High level. I mean, super high level. But they went out and they really drafted, because they still weren't sure about it, right? Andy's had some injuries.
And you need multiple guys. Nowadays, if that's going to be your identity, you have to have 2, 3, 4 running backs. Every year you should be drafting a running back, in my opinion.
100%. And they go get Kenneth Walker from your alma mater, Michigan State guy.
Doak Walker Award winner.
Great running back. And we're seeing him be a great running back at this level. He's doing some great things. Has a huge run at New Orleans. Tough place to play against a tough defense. Breaks one for 69 yards. I broke it down on In the Trenches. 2 receivers make a great block. Tyler Lockett, number 1, come in, boom, get the home run hitter. Now, his other 7 carries, he only has 20-something yards, right? So he's going to be called upon to be the guy. Obviously, they'll have another guy waiting in the wings. Don't know who that guy's going to be. But Kenneth Walker is going to be called upon to step up. Here's the key. Geno Smith, playing at an elite level, making great checks, dropping balls in buckets on deep balls. He's doing a phenomenal job. That team is dangerous. They got a really good defense playing the Arizona Cardinals this week. We'll see. This is going to be a good matchup for them, and we'll see where this goes. But Kenneth Walker is going to be counted upon. That run game is synonymous with what they do. It opens up everything. It allows Geno to be Geno, and like I said, for years and years, that inside zone, they've been as good as anybody doing it. And so he's going to be counted upon moving forward.
9 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. That's a great ratio. If he can extend that out throughout the course of a season, he's going to be in line for a big payday there. Because, again, he was in a quarterback battle, right? And being able to be there for 2 years now, I don't think people are giving Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator, enough credit for his run game that he's doing. Remember, he came from the Rams.
There we go.
He came from the Rams. Russell Wilson wasn't a fit for him, what they were trying to do. Hence why they kind of made the decision to let Russell go, which by all accounts looks really good, getting all those draft picks, doing all this stuff. Geno is perfect for this offense. He pushes the ball downfield. He's in control. He's been through the ups and downs. He understands how to operate, and people are looking to him, and there's a level of consistency in which he's playing. I think he's number 1 in the league in completion percentage, number 1 in QBR. QBR stinks, throw it out the window. It's worthless, in my opinion. But he's playing really, really well. So that's an exciting thing to see. Hopefully they can continue to run the football, because that's going to be a big key for Geno to continue to operate. But one thing that you touched on briefly, those wide receivers block. When you have wide receivers that will block in the run game, the importance of what that is, when you can get guys to buy into that, hey, I'm going to help my buddy out, that goes a long way for the run game.
Listen, I've touched upon it a lot this year. You get your running back to the second level, sure, it'd be a great run. You'll get yourself 6, you'll get yourself 7, you'll get yourself 8, maybe even 10, right? The home run hitters are because those guys who aren't paid to get in there and do the dirty work are doing the dirty work. They're doing the stuff that they're asked upon. That whole team is bought into this offense. Dangerous team moving forward. Geno Smith, super confident, super almost cocky, making some great quotes, which leads us into read between the lines.
This is what Matthew Stafford had to say about his offensive line. Roll the clip.
I thought Joe's done a really good job this year. There's been a lot of guys dinged up front for us. I think, guys have done a really nice job having to come in mid-game the last couple games and try to spell some guys that have had some things. So, that's part of it. Everybody in this league is going through something. When it comes to that kind of stuff, it's hitting us a little bit up front right now. But all the trust and confidence in the world of those guys to go out there and keep working together, keep communicating, find a way to fix it, and go play some good football.
Look, he's a franchise quarterback. He answers that question like a franchise quarterback of saying, we're going to get this figured out. Everybody's going through it a little bit. Not everybody's switching 4 centers around, right, and being able to do that. When you have a pivot that needs to be able to communicate all these things, Matthew's been here before. He is a consummate pro. He's been beat up. He is trying to breathe life into this offense. He is trying to breathe life into this offensive line of saying, you know what, you keep doing what you're doing. Talking about, hey, guys have to plug and play in the course of games. That's really hard to step in as an offensive lineman. But when the starting quarterback, the franchise quarterback, the Super Bowl winning quarterback pays a due to you and say, okay, we've got you. We're in this together. That allows the guys to just say, oh, okay, he doesn't hate me. He doesn't do these things. Because there's so many ways.
Even if he does.
Yeah. Even
if he's going home and telling his wife, "You guys fucking stink. I'm getting my fucking head beat in," right? Even if he does think that and says that to his wife,
well,
he's saying all the right things.
If you told Kelly that, though, she'd probably put it on Twitter. So
very true.
We would know. So
Absolutely.
It's all right.
But no, you make a great point. I mean, listen, as a quarterback, and especially if you're a good quarterback at a young age, you are wired to say everything politically correct.
You protect your own.
You have to. And if you don't, you're the guy. You're the franchise. You're the leader of the group, and everybody's going to be looking at you like, man, what just happened?
Or, yeah, you're sitting there and go, oh, man, that seed of doubt creeps in his head. If he's doubting me, what can I do? And I think one thing that I always did when I had the opportunity to play, right, I didn't care. I would get hit by a bus for the guys that were in the huddle with me as long as I knew they were doing everything in their power to be able to do that. Physical mistakes are going to happen. Some of these guys are on the defensive line, some of these linebackers will absolutely take your head off. That's going to come with the territory. You're going to miss a block. There's going to be a one-on-one you don't win, right? It's the things
Those
when
guys get paid too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you never want a guy to feel like you're singling him out or calling him out or losing confidence in what he's doing. And I played with numerous offensive linemen that you kind of rose their level of expectation and pushed them further than they could think they could go even on their own. Because, look, there's nobody else coming in, especially when you come in mid-game. There's only so many guys active on game day. I'm like, guys, we got to go. I mean, I remember we're in San Francisco, right? And we're at midfield where everybody knows Bruce Arians wants to take a shot. We come in, and we're like, somebody goes down, and John Wetzel comes in. We got a timeout. And I was like, Wetz, you good? We got a shot here. And he's like, hold on. Yep, you did that. And I was like,
I'm good.
No way. That's all you need? Like, you see this defensive line that's going to be coming at you? Yep, we're good. Sure enough. Call the play, take a shot, touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald on Thursday Night Football. I will never remember that of like, look, if you say you got this, let's roll.
Let's do it. I mean, I agree. I mean, but going back to what Matthew said, I mean, it's so important for the quarterback to do that while you're playing. You and I have had plenty of conversations because you're wired. You're wired to be the PC, the politically correct. Say everything
Stay in the lane.
Right and don't veer because then you're going to be the one that has to answer all the questions afterwards. And you having to transition now to this point where now you can kind of say whatever you want is where you want to be when you're done playing. But as a player, Matthew, props to you. Phenomenal job taking the high road. Even though your offensive line hasn't been fantastic, you understand the situation. You understand that they are doing everything that they possibly can. There's a reason that people are backups in this league. There really is. And, once you get your guys back, hopefully you can weather this storm, get your guys back, make a little bit of a run. But right now, that's got to get fixed. I mean, we are just clean missing on play action passes. I mean, there's some things going on there that needs fixed.
Well,
but to your point, like you said, 4 centers.
Yeah.
Through 6 weeks.
Mike Martz told me my rookie year, I remember sitting in his office clear as day. He said, when you're dealing with the media, you don't have to take back what you don't say. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. So I was sitting in that office in Detroit, right?
Yep.
And I was in his office. He told me that some guy that probably is hoping he took back what he said right now is Dan Campbell. And this is his quote right here.
It's about as bad as it gets. I mean, this is the worst. This is where we're at. And sometimes it's going to get bad before it gets better. And I believe we hit rock bottom. And so now the only place to go is back up.
So Dan Campbell says they basically hit rock bottom. We're at week 6. We're at week 6. And they've actually been close in some games. Now, obviously, they've gotten destroyed a little bit in the last couple of weeks, right? And they've had some bad games. But they got enough guys who are former players on that staff. You hope they can reel them in without him saying that. Like,
Do they
that
have
is
too many guys on that staff, though?
maybe, right? But like at the end of the day, as former players, you can't say that in week 6, right? Like you can't say we've hit rock bottom. We have not hit rock bottom. We are hitting a slide.
Yeah.
We've hit the slide.
Yeah.
But there's very much plenty of time to come out of that slide, right? And so for him to say that this early kind of confuses me as a guy who not only played a long time, also coached under some really good coaches to know what the fuck to say.
Yeah, I mean, he's an emotional guy. We've seen that throughout the course of this entire tenure there, right?
Uh-huh.
I think the thing that's alarming to me is that he said it so quickly because, look, they came back. They've fought in all of their games. And that game, when you get beat 29-0, you give up fighting at that point, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
When you are that many times unsuccessful on fourth down, I think they're 0 for 6 or 0 for 7, whatever they were for that game. As a head coach, that falls on you, right? So is that the rock bottom he's talking about? Whatever it is right now, it needs to get fixed. It's not rock bottom, though.
No.
I was in Detroit, 0-16. That's rock bottom.
I mean, they got to win, right?
Yeah,
they got to win.
They do.
We're
And they've shown significant improvement throughout the course of his time there. This year, all the hype, they're going to do this. He's in a tough spot right now. He's starting to feel the pressure of, is Aaron Glenn the guy? Is he going to be here? Like, I don't want to fire my defensive coordinator.
on pace to give up most points in NFL history.
Yeah.
Also, offensively scoring at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, until last week when they throw up a goose egg.
Correct. Which really hurts your stats. Really hurts.
Yeah, but Amon-Ra, St. Brown, is hampered. He can't really play. DeAndre Swift's out.
And I picked them last week at plus 2.5. Like I thought they
Didn't
were gonna,
cover.
Didn't cover. I mean, this was shellacking. Like this is unbelievable.
Yeah,
This is a team that I bought into. Like I bought into their hype. I bought in because this is where I kind of stink sometimes at betting because I do the same thing in the UFC. I do the same thing in the NFL. I'm like, okay, I got some buddies on the team. Like, I think I like them. I think they're gonna do well. I like this guy. I like this guy who's gonna get fight. He's knocked out in the first round. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like this betting thing is a lot harder. You got to bet with your mind. You got to bet with what you see, not with your stomach
Yeah, or your heart.
or your heart.
That's the thing is everybody wants Dan Campbell to be good. Is he too emotional? Is he too up and down? Are guys starting to lose faith in the fact that he is so emotional, right? Of like this grit or take him to the deep end. What happens when you go to the deep end and you're the one that drowns, right? Like
When they start chewing on your leg.
yeah, exactly. When
Right?
they start gnawing all off that, right?
Yeah.
When you only have so many taglines, people start to doubt of like, okay, like what's this guy talking about? Is this for his own regard, or does he actually believe this and imparting that wisdom on this team? So it's a tough position to be in,
Yeah.
but it's not rock bottom.
It's not rock bottom. A team that may be rock bottom. The Washington Commanders. There's a solid chance I fire the head coach if he makes this comment. Ron Rivera said this after the loss this week about Carson Wentz.
Why do you think the teams in the division are farther ahead at this point?
Quarterback.
Quarterback.
One word.
Quarterback. That's all he said. So we take whatever has happened the first 5 weeks of the season, and the only fucking thing that's been wrong so far, quarterback. Do I disagree with him that the quarterback has played bad? Not one bit. Said it last week. Think he stinks. May have too many other things on his mind, right? Likes to hunt a lot. Likes to. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with.
There's a big problem with that if he's thinking about hunting when he should be thinking about football.
But when it's football season, that is the only thing that matters, and that's the way these coaches view it. Like, hey, listen, it's football season, it's ball season, right? Like, the only thing that matters is you putting 100% effort into this for the next 7 months of our season and winning football games. That is it.
Yeah, devil's advocate to that though. Who's the New York Giants quarterback?
Daniel Jones can't walk right now, right?
Couldn't walk in the game.
Can't walk.
Found a way to win.
Found a way to win. When he can walk, he can't throw.
Yeah. Yeah. So to sit there and just say quarterback, yes, Jalen Hurts, very easy to identify. MVP candidate right now, doing well. Cooper Rush, the hottest name in the NFL right now because of what he's been able to do.
Still a backup, though.
Still a backup.
We're winning games with a backup, right?
But the New York Giants are 4-1. So it's not just quarterback. Yeah. And when you are the leader of a franchise and you have to keep everybody together,
You can't blame it all on him.
and then you send a dividing line in the sand of saying, quarterback, I'm over here, quarterback over there.
And then now, what do you want Carson Wentz to say when he gets asked about it by 5 billion reporters?
And he tried to brush
in a
under
big
the rug,
market. DC's a big market, right? So they're going to have a ton of reporters. And what's he going to say? What if he sat there and said, head coach? That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Play
Head coach.
caller.
Play caller. Can't do it, right?
Yeah. General manager.
Although it's tough for him to say that because he had 4 throws from the 2. All 4 of them should have been picked off. Every single one of them. 4 of the worst throws I've ever seen. All 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
and one of them did.
You look at all this, right? And yes, the quarterback gets the blame, and deservedly so, because Carson's, he's lost his confidence. Even all the way back in Philadelphia, he has been trying to regain that confidence. Mm-hmm. He goes to Indianapolis. They put handcuffs on him. They don't let him be the mobile quarterback that he wants to be, extending plays and doing all this.
Did they put handcuffs on him? Because it looks like they put handcuffs on Matt Ryan, too.
Here's the thing, though.
Maybe that's the issue there, too.
Matt Ryan already has more turnovers than Carson Wentz had last year.
Correct.
Already has more turnovers. So, different way of doing it. They ship him off. They think, the quarterback's the problem. Carson Wentz is the problem. He's not the only problem, though, Ron Rivera.
There's a lot going on there. After a tough loss last week in London, they fly across the pond. They do the analytics thing. They go over on Thursday. They feel good about their little schedule. We hated our schedule going over a week early. They took a different approach. But they did. They showed up in the first half.
Most watched game over there ever.
First time with 2 winning teams. I mean, it was a good game to watch. It was.
Yes.
But Green Bay jumps out to an early lead. They get no opportunities in the second half. They literally just didn't get the ball. I mean, they did a great job on the New York side of kind of controlling the clock. Saquon, Wildcat, run the ball. Do whatever you got to do to keep Aaron off the field, which they did a great job. But as Aaron always does, he finds a way to get them back in position to either tie or win, right? And decides to throw it on 3rd and 4th down, right? From the 2-yard line, right? So we got 2 yards to get this. And Aaron Jones said this.
3rd and 2, I know run pass option, and 4th and 2, but they were stacking the box, or obviously forced the pass. But you think you guys could have ran it out of the way? The talent you and Dylan have, the size that you're gonna get those 2 yards no matter what.
I put my money on it. You give me and AJ 2 downs to get 2 yards. I put my money on it. So, but at the same time, I'm not the quarterback, so I don't know what A-Rod's seeing. And they made a good defensive play to bat it down. So, we just go back to the drawing board and put our heads down and keep working.
I mean, I don't disagree.
That's Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and even if you're not going with Aaron, you put A.J. Dillon, who's a glorified offensive lineman in the back. He's 250 pounds and runs like a rugby star.
His legs are bigger than yours, which is hard.
100%. Yeah, and he runs like a rugby star. Like a rugby star that I've seen all over the internet today, running through people, right? Like that's who he runs like. You got to feel good with a good group up front, right? You got Bakhtiari, you got Josh Myers, you got Elton Jenkins. You got your whole group back. They're all back. Take your shot. Hand the ball off. You're one of the best inside zone teams, sub-run teams of this last 2 decades, correct? Like they're as good as they come in the sub-run game, and they don't give their guys a chance. They make 2 throws. They both get batted down. Game over.
Yeah, but there's a box count to all of it, right? And Aaron Jones kind of backtracks a little bit. Said, well, Aaron might have seen something that didn't want to get out of it, much like Russell Wilson, right? There's always one extra guy they can bring that you can't account for in the run game. So as a quarterback, you've got to be able to do that. And then you shoulder that responsibility. You shoulder that blame. I'm sure he would have liked nothing more to be able to hand that ball off. But if you don't get that on 3rd and 1, you look like an idiot as a quarterback. And then you're sitting there on Monday when you watch the film, and you're saying, man, if I had just thrown that now or that lookie route or anything that would have given us a one-on-one matchup because the box was not in our favor.
Sure.
So they know that. They understand that. And that will get fixed. It will get remedied. It's a game they could have and should have won that they didn't.
Listen, all I think he's saying is that he felt confident. His ability and AJ's ability, they would have scored. Let's backtrack a little bit and also say, number 12, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I feel pretty confident he's going to complete one of those 2 passes too.
For sure.
The defense makes plays sometimes. It happens. Is what it is. Green Bay will get it figured out. I don't think there's anything that's going to cause a rift by that comment by any means. But I think we all get, as former players, what he's saying. But I think you also trust 12 and let him kind of, with the ball in his hand.
Defend every blade of grass.
100%.
On to our last segment. Pick 6. Unfortunately, I've only picked 6 correct ones.
That's okay. That's why it's called Pick 6.
Yeah, well, hopefully
You picked 6 right ones.
Yeah, so far out of 15.
In the first 6 weeks.
That stinks.
It's It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think I'm at 7.
Yeah, well,
7.
it's a
Closer to 50%.
It's the get right week. It's like the Arizona Cardinals going to Seattle, who's last in every statistical
That's okay.
category
We're
now.
going to go 3 for 3 this week, both of us. Here we go.
We're going to start hot, too.
right.
I've been starting hot, though. Thursday night's been good to me. Staying away from Thursday night now.
Perfect. It's always the most boring game of the week, usually. So you pick the under damn near every week, so it's a smart play. They're usually 2 shitty teams. They always overplay on the over-under.
Okay, so I'm following trends again this week, right?
Let's do it.
Atlanta Falcons, plus 5.5 at
Usually
home.
always cover.
Yeah, 5-0 against the spread. ATS this year, 5-0 against the spread. Got a tough matchup, though, against the 49ers. But anytime you go across the United States, that plays into it. I think Arthur Smith's doing a really good job. They're starting to figure out who they want to be. I like them to be able to cover 5.5 at home. Back to my favorite thing, though, the unders. I love the unders because that adrenaline, the never safe mentality.
Tell you what
The
I love,
Browns and the
this is
Pats. The Browns and the Pats under 43. This is going to be a shortened, condensed game. If you could place a bet on how long it would be, is this game going to be under 3 hours, under all day long? They're going to run the football. Both these teams, that is who they are. They play good defense. We're also seeing a trend in the NFL of this bend but don't break type of defense, right? More zone coverages, don't hang guys out to dry, keep everything in front of you, make offenses earn it. You're seeing it because of whether it's quarterbacks scrambling, whatever it is. These two teams do it, and they do it really well in the run game, playing phenomenal defense. Last one, a team that has completely flipped the script on being a contender year in and year out when Sean Payton was there. Now they're trying to find it. They're putting points on the board. They got Taysom Hill. Who knows, what he's going to do? Swiss Army knife gadget.
awesome.
Yeah, he's doing
Awesome football
a
player.
tremendous job. The Bengals lost in the Super Bowl. They're over that hangover now. I think that they go on the road. They cover the 1.5. Even if they're missing some of their guys, they still have the major pieces in place. They have the nucleus of what they need to do to be able to do that. I think they cover easily running away.
I love that pick. I'm going to piggyback off that. Just talk a little bit more about that game. I love the revenge games when guys who used to play for teams go back and play their former teams. Trey Hendrickson is going to have a monster game. I'm telling you. 2 sacks plus. Just calling it.
Okay. You can bet that too.
Let's do it. I think we can bet that. All right, so here we go. All right, my picks this week. We got my former team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going to Pittsburgh.
Also a former team.
Also a former team. Where I'm from, where's my heart going to lie? Where's the allegiance? Tampa. We're going to go with Tampa. This Pittsburgh team, not very good. You got quotes coming out of that locker room. You got quotes coming from that head coach saying nobody's job is safe, including coaches. That's his worst loss in the history of being coach in Pittsburgh. He's never had a losing season. My man Mike Tomlin is not happy. Tampa goes in there, sucker bet, -8.5. They're going to blow them out just like Buffalo did. Just calling it.
Hey, good teams win football games. Great teams cover.
Yeah.
That's what we need this week from
Let's
Tampa
also
Bay.
talk, right? I think this is also key. Byron Leftwich going up against his former team. Larry Foote going up against his former team. These guys are going to be juiced, and if they can lay the hammer down and step on some throats while they're down, they're going to do it. Minnesota Vikings go to Miami. Just got news to Tagovailoa. Is that how you say his name, I think? Pretty close, right?
Really nice pronunciation.
Okay, good. Is out. Skylar Thompson is in. I would rather play with Skylar, Rain, Shipley, my 4-year-old daughter at quarterback, than Skylar Thompson right now.
Big difference between preseason and regular season.
Big difference. I just do not think that team, albeit defensively, offensive line-wise, other skill position-wise,
The Cheetah.
pretty damn good. Quarterback-driven league. Quarterback's not very good. They don't have a chance.
A week's not long enough to get prepared.
It's not. Minnesota Vikings are rolling. Take them -4 at the Dolphins. Also a sucker bet here. We got an NFC East division. The Cowboys versus the Eagles. 2 premier teams right now in the NFC. Cowboys are playing well. Will Dak be back? I don't know. They're going to wait and see if he can spin it.
No.
We're going to see if he can spin it with his thumb.
Get him fully healthy.
Get him fully healthy. Stick with Cooper Rush. Stick with a good game plan, good run game. Slow, methodical, control the game. They're going to do a good job. Philly's going to put up points. We know that. They're going to do that. They do a great job of that. In this game, it's going to be a matchup. I think it's Sunday night football.
Yeah.
So, prime time, lights are on. We're going to see points galore. The over-under's 42.5.
Another former team for you.
Another former team. Eagles go way back. Big fan of what they're doing right now. There'll be a lot of points in this game. It's going to take the over. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer.
And everybody's tuning into this on Sunday night. That's the other beauty of it. Those games are the most fun to watch. When you're betting on primetime games, you want to sit in there and tune in. I think this is going to be a great matchup because they're both jockeying for position on how they can take what we thought was going to be one of the worst divisions in football has turned in quietly into perhaps the best based off a win-loss record.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Hey, listen. Another week is gone. Another week will come. But here we are. We're starting to see teams go out and win games. And we're starting to see teams lose games. The teams that let teams hang around, the teams that are hanging around are going to go win the games. We move on to next week. We are going to start to see a much clearer picture as this thing moves forward. And let's wrap this thing up, brother. Cheers, man. Another good episode.
Cheers. Yes.